welcome to a special edition tonight of Legends from the Past and Future show. We're going to have some candidates on the show. Right now, we have one we're going to introduce, but we have two more that's coming. One that I know of for sure, but tonight we're going to give them a chance to explain why they feel they are the choice to run for the office that they wish to run for. But in the meantime, our panel tonight consists of Deneen. Deneen, how you doing tonight, Deneen?
I'm doing great. I'm all excited about getting all this information so everybody can get out and go and vote.
And we have Roger, Command Sergeant Major Parker, who is not only a retired Command Sergeant Major, but he's a distinctive man. He got the award this past Saturday. He was one of 100 distinctive men. Roger.
Nice. Hey, thanks, man, for having me on. Armin was one of the awardees as well. It wasn't just me. He was one of the awardees as well. Very distinctive honor. And, you know, I'm just so happy that we got this platform that we can put information out to people because people don't realize how important voting is. The only thing they think about is the presidential election. But we need these little mini elections as well as the midterms if you're not to influence anyone, if you're going to want something better in the office in the upcoming years.
Absolutely.
I'll go with that.
Absolutely. And we also tonight we have our health and fitness guru who she said she was on time, but you know she wasn't on time. She would have blamed me for it.
Oh.
Melissa Proud, welcome.
Thank you so much, Armand, for having me on. It is an honor to sit here with the panel and let the public know how important it is to go out there and cast your vote. Don't allow someone to stop you from making a change because your voice needs to be heard and it makes a difference.
Yeah. And you see, Melissa is the only real officer we have on the panel. That's all.
So much shade tonight.
She's the only real commissioner we have. The only real commissioner.
So look,
let that go. I'm gonna stop.
We're gonna have Pete Smith, who was on the show once before. He's gonna be returning. He's running for county executive, and he's headed back to his office. The first Black sheriff that we've had in Maryland. He's running for re-election. He'll be on the show shortly. In the meantime, we're gonna have Pastor Tillett, who is running for senator, the office of senator, and it's going to be his spotlight right now until the others come on. But when they do come on, each guest will have 2 minutes to sell themselves. If they go over 2 minutes, they may hear this, or they may hear this, but they're going to hear something. So they have to keep it within 2 minutes. But coming to the stage is Reverend Pastor Stephen Tillett. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Good to be here. I just have one thing to say to the sergeant major. So if we were both still in uniform and we were walking in opposite directions and approached each other, what would have to happen, Sergeant Major?
Oh, I'm gonna give you that 100% super salute because okay. I know by you being in the Air Force, you haven't really got a decent salute. So I'm gonna give you a good, serious, hardcore Army 82nd Airborne guy salute.
I said,
all right. Now you know as your pastor, and of course there's no rush on this because we've already buried enough people in the last 2 months, but if you should predecease me, I get the last word. You know that, right? He's in my church. So I get the last word. So come on, Cletus.
You got it. I throw my hands up. You got it.
Now, Pastor, I have to let you know. All right. Do not come on the show and talk about any of our hosts on it, especially Sergeant Major. If you do, I'm going to have to put some house rules on you, sir.
Well, man, you gotta let him go. No, be yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself, sir.
Let him go. All right, Pastor.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, I'm going to ask you, tell everybody where you're from and what's your current occupation. And then after you answer that, tell everybody why you feel you are the clear choice to be the next senator, okay? All right. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So Stephen Tillett is my name. I'm born and reared in Washington, D.C., graduate of the American University, then graduate of the Howard University School of Divinity, HU. And there you go. And I've been a United Methodist pastor for the last 36 years, since January 1, 1990. Pastored in D.C. for 6.5 years, Baltimore for 8, and now in Annapolis at Asbury Broadneck United Methodist Church for the last 22. While in Annapolis, I've also served as the president of the Anne Arundel County branch NAACP, was one of the clergy co-chairs and founders of ACT, Anne Arundel Connecting Together, and most recently, until I became a candidate, served as one of the tri-chairs of the Maryland Poor People's Campaign.
Awesome. Now, why do you feel that you are the clear choice to be our next senator?
I think that this season in our country and in our politics requires somebody that's not running to be a career politician, a system politician, somebody that, I've been a pastor to Black folks for 30 years, so I ain't scared of nothing. And so somebody who will stand in the well of the Senate and say what needs to be said, and the chips will fall where they may. So I have some areas of emphasis, one of them being poverty. One of the things that you hear these statistics often with the Poor People's Campaign is that 4 out of every 10 of our fellow Americans, 4 out of every 10, 40% of our fellow Marylanders are poor and low wealth, which means they are one crisis away from having to try to make a decision about when we'll pay all the rent, or cut back on food, or am I going to have enough gas to make it through the week, or children's tuition, whatever. And it should not be that way in a country that's the richest country in the world, where one solitary individual, I'm censoring myself, has now become a trillionaire, whatever that means. But that's offensive to me, that you have one person that's worth more than dozens of countries.
Everybody.
And yet that is something that our country seeks. People in the country seek, wealth, money, the shiny object. It's like, okay, but what about poor folk that go to work every day, struggling people, and that they don't have them as a focus? And so one of the things I hope to do is work with the Poor People's Campaign to develop a poverty metric. As whenever legislation is crafted, there is an economic impact metric. So you have to tell us how much the bill will cost, what the cost will be in terms of the state budget. And so if it's going to cost something, how are you going to pay for it? So if there's a poverty metric, will this help people in poverty? Will it hurt them? Or will it not have a particular impact one way or the other? If it's going to help them, I'm all for it. If it's going to hurt it, I'll fight against it. And if it's not going to have an impact, a negative impact to them, that would be all right as well. But we need to keep that squarely in view. When you hear politicians talk all the time, it's about middle class, middle class, middle class. But these are people who are trying to get to the middle class. And then, as we've seen with the full-on assault from the federal government on federal workers, and especially in the DMV, if you lose that good paying government job that you worked hard to get, that you had credentials to get, and you were handling your business, and then you just had some, as we would say in scripture, there's wickedness in high places. And so those people just erasing jobs by the thousands. Now you've gone from middle class to struggling and just trying to keep one nostril above the waterline. So we need people in state government who are not afraid. That's one of the reasons why I was so frustrated with the state Senate last year into this year, when they refused to consider redistricting. Now, ordinarily, I would be dead set against it, because you don't do mid-decade redistricting. You just don't do that. That's not the way the country is designed to operate. But since you have the occupant in the White House who is demanding that Republican-led states do mid-decade redistricting, you got to play the game that's being played. And so I think our failure to do that, that's one other seat that we could possibly have had, so that as many as they've stolen on the other side, who knows if when the votes are cast, who will still be controlling Congress. And that's critical for the future of this country.
Awesome. So now, Pastor, before I pass it to Deneen, and you'll be questioned by Deneen, Roger, and Melissa, I want to welcome a new platform of guests to the show, and that's Kik. Welcome, Kik. We are just continuously growing on the Legend Show. On you, Deneen.
Oh, okay. So Pastor, you just mentioned redistricting.
Yeah.
And can you tell us what that is and what would be the benefits of that happening?
Every 10 years is the decennial census, the year ending in 0. And as a result of the census, when they assess the population all around the country, and that determines federal and state and local benefits, the formulas that are used, and the benefits that will come to those jurisdictions, and also how they're going to set the districts, the legislative districts for the state legislature, congressional districts for members of Congress. And redistricting typically happens 2 years after the census. So in the year ending in 2, so 2032 would be the next time. Unfortunately, right now we have a lawless dictator occupying the White House, and he understands that he is running foul. So he's trying to put his thumb on the scale and say, I want you all to redistrict now, mid-decade. We redistrict once every decade, redistrict mid-decade, so that we can try and hold on to the House of Representatives. And if they do, then that's 2 more years of a Congress that is wholly, a House of Representatives that's wholly compliant to him, which means bad legislation that does not help many people, but his favorite class, the billionaire class.
Does that also include that? I mean, when you talk about the redistricting, you talk about the census. So they're not talking about doing a new census. They're just talking about just doing whatever they want to do per se. Is that what?
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Melissa.
Hi, Pastor.
Hey,
so kind of just to go into what Janine was saying, when you talk about the redistricting, can you just let the people know the importance and the connection between voter suppression and redistricting? What does that look like, so that people can understand? Because for the most part, we'll hear the term redistricting, and a lot of people will see it as just a simple inconvenience, whether it's the schools, whether it's taxes. But can you let the population know how important that is whenever you're talking about that in the terms of the political climate?
Well, before I do that, I want to go back to what contributes to it, and that's the census.
Okay.
And every 10 years we got to beg people to fill out the census form.
That's good.
And I find it kind of silly that you have people, well, I don't want them in my business, I don't want to tell them anything. But you're the same one that will put your friends and your family on blast on Facebook and IG and tell all your business, but you don't want the government to know the number of people in your house or what your salary is or whatever. And when you do that and you don't fill out the census form, then those are people who live in your area whose numbers are not counted. If those numbers are not counted, there's less money coming to your jurisdiction, which means that the money that you get is not sufficient for the number of people you have.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to the government and redistricting and whatnot. We hear people say all the time, I don't like politics. I don't want anything to do with politics. I can understand that, but also understand this. Politics has everything to do with you. There's so much of your life that is because of politics.
Right.
The boundaries for school districts, politics. Who's elected to the school board, the funding that comes from state and local government to help support local school jurisdictions, politics. Getting potholes filled in the street. We had a woman today that came to the polls and was literally in tears talking about the disrepair of some of the roads near her house in Glen Burnie, and she can't get anybody to help her, and it was literally in tears. And the guy that I'm running against, my opponent and I, we were both standing there. We said, man, what's your information? And I called the county executive and I said, my opponent and I are here. And we are both calling you to tell you, y'all need to do something and help this woman's neighborhood out. But all that to say, all of that is politics. And so if you don't want to be involved in politics, understand politics will still be all up in you. And you're either going to be at the table or on the menu. So you might as well be at the table.
I like that.
Advocate for yourself, and then have, as I'm saying, you can't see it on my shirt, but it says your voice in the room. I'm running to be your voice in the room so that I can advocate for you, try and craft bills that will be beneficial to you. And every now and then I will need to call you and ask you to come and say, okay, there's a hearing in Annapolis to address XYZ bill. We either support this and we need to hear your word, your testimony to support it, or if we think it's a horrible bill, fill the room and tell your story to oppose it, so that then there's a partnership. We're there the whole time, but when we call on family, like when you call us, we'll come. If we call you, we need you to come.
That's good.
Yeah, I love it.
Very good.
Okay, Roger, I'll turn it over to Roger. Thank you for that, Pastor.
All right, ma'am. But I'm gonna go ahead and y'all got something in common. I'm gonna jump off straight. You know, Reverend Tillett is a former superstar football player as well. Armin was our
superstar.
Armin was our superstar football player when we was in high school. But you know, getting back to the matter at hand.
My team is in the Hall of Fame at St. John's College High School, but
there you go.
But it wasn't because of me. I was on the team. It wasn't because of me. But go ahead.
Okay. You're gonna have to clap back about that later. But I'm so petty. But you know, could you take this opportunity to tell our listeners and the people that's viewing how important it is to vote? Because sometimes, for some reason, that go over folks' head.
You need to vote to represent yourself. You need to vote to represent your family. One of the points that I've been making when I have an opportunity to talk to voters and to organizations is that it's the mission of every generation, or at least it should be, to leave a world that is better, to leave a world that is worthy of our children and our grandchildren. And right now, the world that my teenage daughter and my two young grandsons are going to receive from us is a stinking hot mess. So it is important that people have to have an interest in their own lives. As I said, if you pay taxes, you are part of the political system, because the political system will take your tax dollars and use it in whatever way they see fit. And unless you are vocal enough and you have hired public servants who will advocate on your behalf enough, you're going to be caught short. And other communities will get money that you should rightfully be entitled to. So, and that's the other thing. They want to use the word entitlements, and they want to make it sound like you're some kind of lazy layabout if you want to gain access to tax dollars. That's your money. It's your money. So you should not feel at all bashful or ashamed to say that's, we contributed to it and we want some of that money to be spent on A, B, and C. That's your right. So that you have to play an active role in your own life on behalf of your children, your grandchildren, or like me, Roger's mom just turned 85. My mother was 102, just passed away a couple months ago. And my wife, Sharita, just asked the question one time. I just sort of musing out loud. I wonder what happens to the folks that don't have anybody to look out for them. Because I was my mother's only child, and we made sure she was straight. Anything that needed to happen, we took care of it, took her where she needed to go, etc. And so that's another thing. In addition to focusing on youth, focusing on veterans, I'm a 20-year Air Force veteran, required a chaplain lieutenant colonel from the Air Force, and our seniors. You can tell a lot about a society by how it cares for its youth and its elderly. And I don't think that speaks well of us as the United States right now.
Wow.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Armin.
So I just finished speaking with the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
He's in his office, so he'll be joining us shortly.
Okay, good.
And Pastor.
Now, Armin, one thing you said about the sheriff, he's the first African American sheriff in Anne Arundel County. He's not the first in the state of Maryland.
Okay.
Gotcha. Now understand, Anne Arundel County has been around since the 16 or 1700s. So the fact that we got the first one in 2022, that's still a long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But he's doing an excellent job. Excellent job. Real good brother. I'm glad to be on a ticket, on a slate with him.
Yes. That's gonna be. I'm excited. I really am. I am so excited that I live in Bowie, but I'm going to find a way to vote in Annapolis. But
don't.
Well, he can always move.
I've been encouraging people for the last several months, just move, just get an apartment in Hanover or Severn or somewhere, and just for about 3-4 months, and then
his mom still lives down there, so he's good.
Absolutely. So Pastor, with the climate, with today's climate, the situation with ICE, how do you feel that it's impacting the city of Annapolis? What would you do to correct to correct what's happening in Annapolis as far as ICE is concerned?
Well, that honestly, in part, it's a governing decision. It's also a law enforcement decision, because there have been a few jurisdictions around the country where local police or sheriffs have stood and looked ICE eyeball to eyeball and said, you ain't doing that here. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, and you can tell where the cowardice comes in, that they're supposed to be so big and bad and bold, but they're masked, so you can't know who they are, so you can't hold them accountable. But then they're the ones with guns and tasers and whatnot, and other people don't have them. So as soon as the real boys and women stand up, the real dudes and gals, they stand up, that you ain't coming in here, that they can't do anything with that. So policies would be in place where we're saying we're not cooperating with you unless it is clearly someone who has violated the law, who is a clearly criminal element. And criminal element doesn't mean they speak Spanish. It doesn't mean they were born in, south of the border, or their ancestors were. That's not criminal element. Right. Because anybody will tell you a majority of the crime in the country is not committed by immigrants. It's committed by homegrown folks. And it's committed by homegrown folks who are the majority of the population in the country. So don't get it twisted. I don't care how Sinclair broadcast is presenting crime and the brown faces that they put on the screen. That is not the real and total picture of crime. So to protect your community, you just tell folks, we will cooperate with you under these circumstances. But other than that, you're going to stay away from our schools. You're going to stay away from our houses of worship. You will not be snatching people up at the Home Depot, and all they're trying to do is get an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. We will not allow that.
Awesome. Go ahead, Denise.
Okay, so I have two quick questions. One is, how will you address housing affordability in Annapolis and the surrounding areas? And then the other question is, how will you address rising costs for families and seniors?
So, Councilman Smith, future County Executive Smith, when he comes on, a bill was just passed in the County Council, a cottage home bill or tiny home bill. And the idea there is that right now, I think the average house in the county costs about $500,000. And a lot of people can't afford that. So what the cottage home bill does is we identify land, and then we will build houses that have a smaller footprint in terms of square footage. But then the price to move into one would be $200,000 and some thousand.
Right.
And typically, if you are single, or you have a partner and it's just the two of you, or maybe one small child, you can make that work. And then as you're there for a few years and you build up equity, and then you can take that equity and get a larger house, and et cetera. So that's one of the things, and that's why I'm very excited about Pete Smith being our next county executive, is it was his vision to pass that bill against opposition for a while from some of the people on the council who were on the slate of candidates against him. And it's like, but this isn't about any of you. It's about what's better for the people. Right. So that's something that he wants to do. And I think that can be one of the ways to do it. They also had an affordable housing bill. I'm not remembering the title of the bill. If Pete were here, he could tell you. But that basically that they would control some of the cost, and when there's new construction, that there would be incentives for developers and builders such that a certain portion of their stock of homes would be at a lower price and more affordable. Because right now you have people who work in Anne Arundel County and can't afford to live here. And so they might be working in my district at, NSA or Fort Meade or something like that. And then they got to drive to York, Pennsylvania, or Charles County or Calvert County or something, counties in Southern Maryland. And that's a long haul with gas prices being above $5 a gallon. You should be able to afford to live where you can work. And then when they remember back in COVID and the heroes and essential workers, but they can't afford to live there either because they're not being paid a livable wage, which would typically be around $28 an hour. But then, the wealthy want to clutch the pearls. Well, oh no, if we pay them $28 an hour, our business will collapse. And no business around the country is collapsing because they pay their employees more. That just doesn't happen. But that's the lie that's told. And then unfortunately, people who could benefit from that money is like, well, we don't want to lose our jobs, so don't do it. I wrote a book a few years ago. The title is Stop Falling for the Okie Doke. Don't fall for the okie doke. They're just saying it is not true, and it's keeping you down. So
do your homework. Yeah, no, that's good stuff right there.
That part, do your homework. Yes. Well, it's too hard to get information. No, it's not. What's that? What's that in your pocket? Right. Look on there.
Fingertips.
No, that's good. Go ahead, Melissa.
No. I'm interested in the cottage bill. So are there restrictions just for the public? That's a bill that's been introduced. So what type of restrictions are behind an individual being able to benefit from that? Whether it's a single family home or, how can people benefit from that?
So one of the restrictions is that they will not allow for an investor to buy a cluster of those homes and then use it as investment property, Airbnb, whatever, or then to try and drive up the prices. So no, this is intended for people who are looking for their first home, and it's all about affordability, being able to match folks that have some employment, they work, they have some income, and they want to get into the housing market, if you will, so that eventually they can, as they continue to grow in their lives, that they can get larger homes. So that's one of the things. And then they're going to have to be careful to make sure that there are limits. And again, Councilman Smith could explain the mechanics of that to keep it from people driving up the cost after, say, if you're the first iteration, the first tier of owners. That you don't get to drive it up from 200 to 400. There's a process for that in the bill. That was at the county level, not the state level. So future County Executive Smith can answer that when he comes.
Oh, that was good. All right. Roger.
All right. So Reverend Tillett, what are your plans or what ideas do you have to help the young voters see what's going on and what you are doing that would give them the energy or the constitution to get out there and vote?
Great catch.
Yeah, that's all major question.
Two words. No, seriously, 2 words. Self-interest.
Boom.
Self-interest. That, again, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And then there are policies that are being developed that are contrary to your interests. Because if there's one thing, if politicians can't do anything else, the one thing they can do is count. And if they see a burgeoning number of people basically coming for them, not in a violent way, but just showing up in meetings and holding them accountable, it will compel them to change their policy because it's hurting, not helping a portion of their electorate, which of course is not the way it's supposed to be. I remember when they were in the process of trying to pass the big billionaire bill, that there were folks like myself and others working in tandem with the Poor People's Campaign, the National Poor People's Campaign, calling members of the House and the Senate and telling them, Senator, Congresswoman, if you vote for this bill, it's going to cost X thousand people in your district in these following ways. So that we were trying to make it plain that this bill is not going to help your constituents. It's going to help the wealthy people. The wealthy people don't need any help. It's the struggling people that need help. This is a paraphrase from a quote from Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, in his second inaugural address. You know, he was elected president 4 times, but second one, which would have been 1937. And the paraphrase is that the measure of our work is not helping people who have to get more, but helping those who don't have enough to get enough. That's a loose paraphrase. But this is a man who was born into wealth, born into privilege, and he's saying it's our mission. And of course, this is certainly also in the throes of the Great Depression. But it's our mission to make sure that we are helping, as the Bible would say, the least of these, the people who are struggling. And so, Roger, back to your point, just to help young people understand the value of their intellect and their ideas, because they've got some ideas for things we haven't thought of that are probably better than a lot of the things that are being done right now. Absolutely. But they have to be encouraged and challenged. You know, put this down for a while, engage in the world around you, share your ideas, build actual relationships, not virtual ones, but actual relationships with others, develop some momentum with that, and then you all try and take it by storm. And I promise you, as an older head, you come up with some good ideas I didn't think of, I'm not going to be mad at you what they think they're doing. I don't quite understand it, but it looks good to me. It sounds good to me. I'm going to support them because we're not going to be on the scene forever. That's Dr. K on 88.9 radio was talking probably the week before last and just started listing some of the older members of Congress and the Senate. I don't know if any of you have ever gone to the gallery for the United States Senate, but if you ever do and you just look down there at the senators, it almost looks like the senators. It almost looks like a senior living community. I mean, Chuck Grassley. This is like his 6th or 7th term. Homeboy been in Congress going on 40 years. Dude is like 91, 92 years old. Don't you have any great grandchildren to go play with? But they want to stay there forever. And she didn't do it just on that side. She was talking about Auntie Maxine Waters. We love you. God bless you. Thank you for your service. Girlfriend, you are 82, 83. Thank you for your service. Who's coming up next? And so we also need to be concerned, and we call it succession planning in the military, that all the time you are concerned with the welfare and the future of your organization that you're leading, and succession planning is part of that. These folks are not playing. It's like, what was her name? The senator from California, Dianne Feinstein. Girlfriend was barely sentient, had to die in office. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's true. She was barely sentient at that point, sick as I don't know what, dies, and that's the only way she left.
Term
Peter Ginsburg, Ruth, thank you for your service, but please retire while President Obama can appoint your replacement. Staying in there so long that when you die, then Mitch McConnell, the same one who refused to entertain an appointment when Scalia died in February, but then they ran through something when Bader Ginsburg dies in September. Okay? So again, we need to be about handing the baton, passing off the baton, and because it's not all about us. We all gonna leave here. And we need to have prepared the way so that people can come in after us and succeed and do even better, take it to new and different places from the way we did.
Absolutely. Armin?
Okay, so the sheriff is here. He's a little late, but 4th Ward. He's from the 4th Ward.
Yeah, he's a 4th Ward dude. Wait a minute, hold up. I'm a 4th Ward dude. Oh, okay, that's good.
So, Sheriff, welcome to the show, Sheriff. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Did I join this too early? I am sitting here literally going through different stuff. Let me do this and do that, and then I'll pop up on the screen. So I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay. But while you're here, just let everybody know a little bit about yourself, and you're running for re-election. Why do you feel that you should have that position once again?
Well, a little bit about myself. So my grandmother, she did grow up she was in the 4th Ward. That's where my mother grew up, and I spent a lot of time there. But I am a native of Anne Arundel County. So, and real quickly, when I decided to go into law enforcement after I graduated from college, Anne Arundel County was not hiring. So I went to Prince George's County. And that's where I learned about law enforcement. I rose up through the ranks to the rank of major. I was the commander of the Narcotic Enforcement Division, Training Academy, Community Services Division, a couple district stations, and some other things. So I learned a lot there. And then after that, I took some time off. I retired. I retired in 2012, thought I was done. And then I realized I still have some more to give. So I was fortunate enough to be appointed by then Governor Hogan to be the executive director of the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission. And in a nutshell, what that means is I was responsible for certification for all officers in the state of Maryland. So if you wanted to be in law enforcement, a sheriff or a sheriff deputy or a police officer, you carried this little card around in your back pocket that had my signature on it. Now that was a major thing for me, but I think what I'm most proud of about that is the governor got my name because the sheriffs and chiefs from across the state gave him my name. You know, so they recommended me. But to why should I continue as the sheriff? Because I am the sheriff that understands that law enforcement is not just about putting handcuffs on people. You know, it's about working with the community, and that's what I learned in Prince George's County. You have to work with the community if you want to get things done. And as the sheriff, I understand that I am an elected official. I am also a politician. So what that means is I got to work with the other elected officials to get laws enacted that will actually help to reduce crime. And I've been working on that. Also on the other side, the civil side of the sheriff's office, we do evictions. And one of the things I'm proud of right now is I work with our county councilwoman, Hummer. She introduced legislation in the county council that successfully passed that says we are now out of the business when we do evictions of putting people's stuff out on the streets. So now what we do is we have a lock and leave policy. And the lock and leave policy is during the eviction itself means that we simply change the locks on the doors. The tenant gets an opportunity to work it out with management so they can get their stuff. So that way we're not humiliating them and we're not victimizing them. Humiliation occurs when, thank you. Humiliation occurs when we do evictions Monday through Friday. So that means the kids go to school, they come back, they see the stuff out in the street.
Yeah.
Is that your stuff? And then we victimize them by saying, hey, anybody in the surrounding neighborhood, come get what you want. Now, another thing that I look at also is taxpayers. The law says we put it out on the street, but who cleans it up? Now we got to send county out or city out or somebody to now clean it up. So these are the things that I continue to work on. And I also understand that the county police and the primary law enforcement, county police and city police in Annapolis, primary law enforcement agency, but we're a law enforcement agency too. You know, and I instruct my people. We got some equipment to do the job, to enforce the laws in Anne Arundel County, make traffic stops and things like that. And I tell my people all the time, the traffic stop you make could possibly deter an accident down the road.
So what I'm going to do, Chief, I'm going to I just received a call from Pete Smith. You know, those Marines, they just never on time, you know. But I'm going to pass you over to Deneen. And if Pete comes on, then we'll go ahead and we'll get him in. Okay. How are you, Deneen?
So, Sheriff, I just need to warn you.
Okay.
Put on your flag jacket And give as good as you get. I'm just telling you, okay?
Well, now let me tell you this. Behind the scenes, Mr. Wallace I had to get suited up for this one. He knows what I'm talking about. So I'm here. I'm ready, Denise. Let's do
it. Okay, so I do have a question for you. What does public safety mean to you in the context of Anne Arundel County?
And I operate in a very simplistic manner. My wife has this saying, make it make sense. To me, public safety means that when you go to sleep at night, you feel comfortable in your own home. When you want to go out and shop, you shouldn't have to say, well, we don't want to go over there,
right?
Because it's rough in that neighborhood. You should be able to travel freely throughout Anne Arundel County and not have to worry about your safety or your children's safety when they're out.
Amen. That's good. No, that's absolutely good. I appreciate that. I love that. I love that law that was passed for that eviction thing. I mean, that's everything. I mean, that's huge. So
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna pass it.
Go ahead.
You go ahead, and then I'll pass over to Melissa.
Yeah, I am very big on working with the community and educating the community. And let me tell you, one of the things I did was, and I feel comfortable in saying this, I am the first sheriff to have a renter's rights form where renters could hear exactly from the sheriff's office what your rights are. And believe me, I caught a little flack on that. Why are you doing this? But just like when you arrest somebody for a serious crime, you got to read them their rights. And I think renters should know what their rights are too. There are some people out there, I don't care who they are. They can hit the lottery tomorrow, win $1 million. They still ain't gonna pay their rent. I'm not talking about those folks. I'm talking about the folks that are out there working hard. They might have hit some hard times, might have had a death in the family, or the landlord is not taking care of the problems in their rental property. They need to know what their rights are. So we had a renters form.
Yeah, that's good. Go ahead, Melissa.
I kind of want to go back to what Deneen was talking about public safety, and you hit it on the head whenever you said education, because I just wrote that down. And when it comes to our youth, what type of programs are out there? Because now that we are trying to get our youth to be more vested in their own lives and they're the next generations coming up, what type of educational programs are out there just keeping the community safe, keeping our youth safe, just finding something different for them to do in Anne Arundel County to keep them out of trouble?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we've been dropping the ball. And one of the things I say, we need to look at the high school kids, but I think we need to start at a younger age. We need to get them when they, I don't think elementary, but when they hit that middle school, 6th grade, that's when we got to start grabbing these kids to keep them on the right track, because that's when they start to developing their mind and thinking about, what's cool, what's not cool. I love the DARE programs. I love DARE programs. I love the Explore programs with law enforcement. I tried to get an Explorers program started with us, but we couldn't get the funding for it. But if we can get them at that age, and we need them now, especially with the DARE programs, we need it now more than ever. And I'm a law enforcement official, so whatever the laws are that come from the Capitol, the senators, the delegates introduce, and it becomes law. The governor signs it. It's not up to me to now say, no, I'm not going to enforce this law. I'm a law enforcement officer. That's what I do. But I will say this, with the use of marijuana and things like that for recreational use, it is here. But I think we've missed the ball. We're not educating our young people. We're not educating our young people about the downfalls of using marijuana. And I agree, marijuana has a purpose for medical use. I'm not talking about that. But what I am talking about is the recreational use. Our young people need to understand that, yes, you're 22, 23, you can smoke marijuana and all that stuff, but you're limiting yourself now, because there are jobs that you will not be able to get because you smoke marijuana, and I've had young people tell me, but it's legal. Just because it's legal doesn't make it right. That's what I tell them, So I think we need to do a better job of educating our young people about the use of illegal drugs, marijuana, even alcohol. And we just need to get them at a younger age. We can't wait.
Thank you for that.
You're
Our Major, Roger.
All right. Sheriff, thanks for coming on. And I'm a fourth wardie myself, College Creek Terrace. And my question for you as a law enforcement officer, and we asked Reverend Tillett the same thing. What is your take on ICE?
Oh
Lord.
Did you just say? No. Well, I'm gonna let me explain to you the setup of the sheriff's office. So you have a lot of the sheriffs from across the state. They're upset because this law has been passed. You can't work with ICE. They control the jails, so they have people to house detainees and stuff, immigrants and stuff like that. In Anne Arundel County, I don't control any jail. I don't control any holding facility. We have our own superintendent of I call it Department of Corrections, but we have our own superintendent, so I don't control that. Even at the courthouse, we have cells. You go into the basement of the courthouse, I call it our jail, but it's not ours. That is not for my personal use as a sheriff. The judges dictate who will be in that cell. So I have no ability to detain people. So now on the other side, I took an oath to the United States Constitution and the Maryland Constitution. And in the United States Constitution, it basically says that, the Constitution applies to everyone in the United States, regardless of their citizenship. And in the Constitution, it also guarantees people the right to due process. And what's happening right now is, I think some people, I try to inform people about this, they're picking people up on administrative warrants, ICE. And what an administrative warrant is, basically, someone, a higher official in ICE, creates the warrant. It is not reviewed by any other legal people, no any judges or anything like that. You do not even need probable cause to get an administrative warrant. So that's basically me, Mr. Roger. You walking down the street, you know what? I think you're from Nigeria. You got that accent. So let me just talk to you a little more. And now I can detain you if you fail to present me with, satisfaction that you should be here. And and for the people who are listening, I know I'm simplifying it. Trust me, I know I'm simplifying it. But like I said, my people here, we work off of criminal warrants that have been through the process. They've been reviewed by attorneys. They've been reviewed by the judges and signed off by judges. That's what we work on. We don't work off of administrative warrants. So to make a long story short, do we assist ICE with, detaining immigrants and things like that? No, we do not.
All right.
So I'm going to bring Councilman Pete Smith on. Roger, I think when I said 1900, I should have said 7 o'clock. Then he probably would have been on time.
He don't know military time.
I think we had a disconnect right there. But Pete, you've been on the show before, so explain cottage home protections.
So thank you all. Yeah, apologies for that tardiness. I think someone texted me. I saw something around 8 o'clock again earlier today. I was like, oh, so it's 8 instead of 7. But it was an old message that was referencing that time. But I am so grateful I was able to pass the cottage home bill earlier this year, tiny home bill. And the goal of it was to create an inventory of products that are affordable. And so there are protections in them. For example, you cannot purchase one of these if your income is higher than $110,000 a year, for example. So that cap who the buyer is, which means that ACDS in the law is the one that will govern who and processing these individuals to make sure they quote unquote pass that test before they're allowed. The goal being, we did not want wealthy individuals coming in, buying all these things up, and then just renting them out. That defeats the whole purpose of creating generational wealth as well as home ownership for individuals who really, really needed it. The second thing is we capped the size to 800 square feet. So builders literally price their models based off square feet. So the bigger the home is, the more square foot wise, the more they can charge for it. So by capping it, saying you cannot use this tool, this bill, to create density to build more housing in this area. So we want you to make sure that the size of that is 800 square feet or less. So it forces them to only build homes that are much more affordable based off of that. So those are two of the biggest key pieces that allows it to be in reach for those who don't earn, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Deneen had to drop off. She's teaching Bible study tonight. So this is going to be pretty rapid because I think my health and fitness guru is her bedtime.
Oh, that's right. I got to get my 12 hours.
12 hours. Oh my God.
Not even 8.
I don't know nothing about that life. I get half of that.
30-minute increments throughout the day.
Oh, so this is going to be a quick rapid one. We're going to start with Melissa with this. And Melissa, whatever question you ask, it'll be for all three of them. And then so we can pretty much wrap this up. Sorry, Pete. Sorry, Sheriff. But we have to get you back. Pete, you've been on before. Sheriff, we got to get you on. And Reverend Tillett, we got to get you back too, okay? Go ahead, Melissa.
Okay, my question is just really quick and simple. How imperative is it for people to get out and vote?
It's super imperative. We have elections that are governed by or governs communities, and the people we select are in power. They have the keys to the kingdom. Look at who was elected at the White House, for example, and you can tell his philosophy and his belief system is different from other folks here in this country, specifically here in Anne Arundel County. So it is imperative that we get out there and vote because those in power will impact your life.
And I will say this. I agree with Councilman Smith on that. And let me just add this. It's very important that you understand that the local leaders have the biggest impact on your life. Sometimes we get lost with on the federal level, but the local leaders, those who are running for county executive, those who are running for county council, state delegates, because those are the people, and your sheriff, of course, those are the people who determines what happens in your day-to-day life, what your roads look like, what your schools look like, what your local laws look like. You have to, when you vote, I recommend that people start from the bottom of the ballot and work your way up to the top.
I'm just going to co-sign the sheriff. That's where I was going to go. I'm trying to leave more room since they came on late, but sheriff nailed it.
Did he just slam us, Pete? Pete just slammed us.
I'm trying to give y'all more time. We were talking for. Okay, so I'm not going to go there. I was getting ready to slam you, but I'm not.
Reverend, I love you, Reverend. I love you.
Hey, Reverend Tillett, I help you out. We were talking for 35 minutes.
Oh. Well, wait a minute. What time did it start? I was told to be on at 7:50.
Well. That's a whole nother show. Mm-hmm.
So they both thought it was 8:00. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna pull it. Look,
1900, sir. 1900.
It's not you here.
No, it really said 7:50.
It was 1850 to sign to call in, and then 1900 for the show to start. But we're wasting time. Let's go.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead, Raj.
Yeah, first of all, right, it might have been a mix-up on our part as well, because maybe y'all got an old text because we usually start at 2000. So with that being said, I'm going to say this: I've been in situations just like you gentlemen where it's not a whole bunch of us when I worked at the Pentagon, and we always being watched. So I don't know if anybody said anything, but I'm going to put it out there. super proud to see that you guys out there taking your own personal time to make sure us, the regular folk, are squared away. And we need more people like you. Usually I come on and clown on folks, especially if they was in the Air Force or the Marines. But I'm gonna let that slide. But you know, the fact that you guys are taking your own time, Reverend Tillett is my pastor. We always going to each other. And, you know, taking your time to come out there and make sure we're squared away. I'm going to say from my heart and soul, I really appreciate it. Not because that ballot is all chocolate, which I like anyway, but I really appreciate that you guys are out there doing what needs to be done and standing 10 toes down. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
May I just say that the ballot actually is not all chocolate?
No, I'm talking about the three right here. The three right
here. Okay. All right. No, because we have a slate. We are the Unite Anne Arundel slate. And our candidate for state's attorney is a white woman. For Council District 4, a Jewish white man. And Council District 2, a white woman. So we got a mix.
Yeah, but I don't see none of them right now, and I don't have my glasses on. I just see us's.
You just see the brethren tonight, okay?
Yeah. Like my grandfather says, there's a lot of us's up in there. I just see us's.
So, you know, I want to say this before we wrap this up. You know, my passion for the youth, it goes above and beyond. You know, there's been so many programs cut out for us. I have to say for us. You know, I used to coach at the Boys and Girls Club, and they cut a program that was really conducive and helpful. We even had study hall for the kids. What would you do? What would you do to help get things back on track, to get our youth? Just let them know that we care and that we are invested in their future. Starting with you, Pete.
Pete, you're muted.
Can't hear you, Pete.
Sorry about that. I think for me, I think the biggest things we can do is actually show up on a consistent basis. You will always see me in those communities, and to involve them in the process. Doesn't matter how young they are. They have a voice just as much. We had a young person who on Saturday questioned me about cameras, for example. He cares. You could hear it in his voice. And I said to him, the safest way to implement any of those processes is to involve him. He needs to be the reviewer, the checker that's validating the folks who are checking us. Keep them involved.
Awesome. Sheriff?
You know what? I agree with Pete. We got to show up, and we have to show them our professions. You know, I tell people this all the time. To me, when I was growing up, you know, and I'm always in the 4th Ward. We're always walking, down to Annapolis by the docks and stuff. And I saw the midshipmen, you know, but to me, that was so far out of my reach, it would never happen, you know. So we have to introduce our young people to our profession. I try to introduce young people to law enforcement. I don't care if they get into law enforcement or not, but I want them to understand that law enforcement is not your adversary. You know, law enforcement can be your friend. Law enforcement can help you. And I go back to 1965, Edmund Pettus Bridge, Dr. King. What do they see on the other side? And I hope I got my year right. What do they see on the other side? They see a lot of people, Alabama state troopers, that don't look like them. When they were trying to get across that bridge, they're not fighting just for the rights of people then, they're fighting for the rights of people now, you know? So I tell young people all the time, law enforcement is a good profession. Don't listen to what you see on TV. If you want to make a difference, work from the inside to help improve law enforcement.
Awesome. Pastor?
I'll tell a quick illustration that there was a young woman who's probably in her 50s now, early 50s, or maybe 40s. But she said that when she was growing up in Annapolis, that there was a recreation department and that was very active, in a drum and bugle corps and those things that she was participating in. And then they decided, you know, when some budget cuts, they came for the kids first, the youth first. And as a result, she said she was pregnant the next year with her daughter. So that it is our responsibility, and I hope to partner with my next county executive. Was like, okay, what do we need to do to improve the footprint, enlarge the footprint of park and recs and recreational activities for our young people, so that they can engage in positive activities as opposed to have nothing else to do, so they get in trouble. And we'll work together. I'll author whatever bills we need to in the legislature. He'll apply whatever pressure he needs to in the county council and bring some of those resources back so the youngins have useful things to do that are going to grow and develop them.
Awesome. Now,
can I add something else on that? I know you guys got to go. Reverend Tillett, you're right. But what we also need, because we focus so much, sports did wonders for me. I went to college because of athletics, but not everybody's athletic. At these rec centers and things, we got the basketball courts, the football fields and stuff. Let's put some rooms where they have the pianos in there, where they have the guitars and stuff, where people can come and take lessons, and that might, spur that seed where they'll be like, for Christmas, instead of a basketball, you know what? I want a guitar,
or a chess set,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, unless Roger or Melissa have anything else to say, I think what you guys just got through saying sums everything up. And I can't say this. I want you to hold tight when we do close, when we're off the air, and so we can say a few things. But I want to thank each of you for coming on. It was an honor to have you guys on here. Everybody, it's time to vote. Get out and vote. You have 3 here that's very qualified. Let's go and make this happen. I wish, now that we're nonprofit, we can't make an endorsement, but I can tell you this. Should I say it, Roger?
Go with it.
You guys got my vote. You guys have my vote. Okay. I'm proud to say that, and I'm proud to have each of you on. And I need to get you guys back on the show. Can we make that happen?
Yes,
we can make that happen.
What time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we get the time right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Sergeant Major. Appreciate it. Accountability. Love it.
Well, you're gonna be when you come back. You'll be on Wednesday night. All right, that's our major day. And when I told the sheriff, we have about close to 800,000. We have a big following. The sheriff, I don't know where he was at that time, but he said, "I got to turn around. I got to go back to my office."
Let me tell you, I had my sweats on and everything, and I was going back home. I just went and got something to eat for the family and stuff. And when you said that, I drove safely back home, put the food on the counter, grabbed my uniform, and headed back here. But look, I got to say this, Mr. Wallace, thank you for working with me, because I know I was, going back and forth with the email, so I probably messed up the time. So I apologize to all the viewers, listeners, and stuff. And I thank you for having me on.
It's not a problem at all. If you could just say that one more time so Melissa could get that in her hearing, I'll be great.
This is more likely on me, because he has been going back and forth with me, and I got other stuff going on. So I apologize for coming in late.
Not a problem. And the same thing for that Marine over there, but I do understand. But in any event, tomorrow we will have a show. We'll have an author. She's an author. She's been winning all these awards. She's been winning. Her name is Bertha Winston, and she will be on the show tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. Check us out at 8:00. It'll be Roger and myself tomorrow. Unless, Melissa, you want to join us.
Bedtime, that's my bedtime. You already 4 minutes past it.
Not 4 minutes. Outboard personnel stand up.
I don't know nothing about that life. Nothing. 12 hours. If I'm in bed 12 hours, I'm sick. Seriously. Even if I want to stay in bed, it's like after 6 hours, I got to get up and do something. I
do want Melissa to know one thing, though. She's in the presence of some two awards, men of distinction. All right, so let's get this right now, Melissa. All right, you are in the presence of men of distinction, okay?
And I am honored. I am honored. Absolutely. I am grateful that you had me on this show to meet our next leaders again and again and again. Yes.
And it's great is it was often to have these guys on here. And as a retired Sergeant Major, I didn't do the follow-up to make sure y'all was right with the time. So I'll go ahead and take that hit. It's my fault.
Look at that. True NCO. See that, Armand? Over and over again.
Yep, it's my fault. I owe y'all some push-ups. I'm good for about 50 after that. I have to owe you.
Well, we're going to close it out. And see you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock on the Legends from the Past and Future show. Miss Bertha Winston will be on it. And please hold tight, fellas.